China's cities are shrinking, rural areas are empty, and sudden deaths among young people are rising. China's economy collapses, jobless youth lose hope, marriage rates plummet, men flee high dowries. Taiwanese firms quit, Xiamen declines, 5 million people leave, shops shut, streets empty. On January 17, 2025, China's National Bureau of Statistics released its annual report. As of the end of 2024, the country's population stood at 1.408 billion, a decline of 1.39 million compared to the previous year. The natural growth rate is now minus 0.99%, continuing a trend of population contraction. But while the figures suggest a modest drop, many Chinese citizens say the reality on the ground is far more alarming. Shenyang used to have over 4 million people. Now the tourist spots are empty. The streets, shops, malls, supermarkets, even factories are deserted. Where has everyone gone? I remember when China had 1.2 billion people, it felt packed everywhere. Now we have 1.4 billion, and yet it feels like no one's around. One answer may lie in the hospitals. Despite efforts by the Chinese Communist Party to conceal ongoing waves of illness, hospitals across the country are frequently overwhelmed. Many mainland citizens have told overseas media that those around them repeatedly suffer symptoms like fevers and persistent coughs. With no official warnings from Beijing, they assumed it was the common cold, only to later develop severe conditions like white lung syndrome or pneumonia, leading in many cases to death. The deceased, they report, are not only the elderly. Increasingly, children and healthy young adults in their 30s and 40s are dying suddenly and without warning. Since last winter, people around here have been falling sick, severe fevers and coughs, and dying suddenly. A lot of them were young, in their 40s. The crematorium can't keep up, and now they've even relaxed the rules to allow burials. In nearby villages, you constantly hear about men in their prime dropping dead in their sleep. Just a day before, they were healthy and helping out at weddings. The next morning, they're gone. People are catching colds, one after another. Hospitals are full, and people keep dying in waves. Pneumonia, heart attacks, strokes. 30 and 40-somethings dying suddenly and inexplicably. Families can't afford cremation, so they quietly bury them. Every day, someone dies, and it's always young people. On February 16, 2025, a startling article from Sohu News, citing supplementary data from China's 7th national census, shook social media. As of the end of 2024, the survival rate of those born in the 1980s, China's post-80s generation, had dropped to 94.8%, meaning that 1 in every 20 has already died. With this group totaling over 223 million, that translates to more than 10 million dead, a shocking toll for a demographic still in its 30s and 40s. But soon after publication, the article was mysteriously taken down. In response, Beijing launched a quick denial campaign, only fueling public suspicion. Back in 2020, the death rate was already at 5%. Now it's probably closer to 7%. In 1980 to 89, we had over 220 million births. The 7th census shows over 10 million are missing. Where did they go? DeepSeek AI won't even allow population queries anymore. Why not? Perhaps the most damning insights come from within China's funeral industry. In the past year or two, I've noticed a disturbing rise in deaths among the post-80s and post-90s generations. They're now a major portion of the deceased, not the elderly. Most of them die from chronic illness or sudden cardiac events. Adding weight to these concerns is data extrapolated by Grok 3, an AI reasoning model developed by Elon Musk's team. Based on consumer behavior during Lunar New Year, public transportation usage, GDP slowdown, and surging unemployment, Grok estimates that between 150 million to 200 million people may have died during China's 3-year pandemic period, a figure far beyond official reports. Despite official claims that 99% of current infections are seasonal influenza, many in China suspect another major outbreak of COVID-19, with authorities once again choosing silence over transparency. For many Chinese, the signs are now undeniable. Cities feel hollow. Rural areas have grown eerily quiet. Young people, even celebrities, are dying unexpectedly. The Chinese government may continue to deny a public health crisis, but on the ground, a disturbing pattern is becoming harder and harder to ignore. A growing crisis is quietly unfolding in China. Amid economic stagnation, mass youth unemployment, and soaring living costs, millions of young Chinese are giving up on marriage and children altogether. On February 8, 2025, China's Ministry of Civil Affairs released marriage statistics that sent a shockwave through social media. Only 6.1 million couples registered marriages in 2024, a staggering 20.5% drop from the previous year, and less than half the peak in 2013. The Chinese Communist Party has been pushing hard to reverse the trend. Various local governments now offer cash rewards to encourage early marriage. For example, in Changshan County, Zhejiang Province, newlyweds where the bride is 25 or younger can receive a 1,000 yuan, 140 USD bonus. But analysts say these symbolic measures do little to address the real problems driving the decline. High youth unemployment and the skyrocketing cost of marriage are at the heart of the issue. Many young men say they simply cannot afford the traditional bride price or a home. I was raised by a single mom. Now I drive a delivery truck and I can save maybe 8,000 yuan a month at most. But to get married, I need to pay a bride price and buy a home, at least 500,000 yuan. At this rate, how long will it take? And I'm not even earning the lowest salary out there. Some make just 3,000 to 4,000 yuan a month. He adds that though his girlfriend is kind and supportive, the couple avoids discussing marriage, not out of anger, but out of mutual hopelessness. We always end up in silence. It's not that we don't love each other. It's that we just can't see a way forward. If your son doesn't make enough to support a family, why bankrupt yourself for his wedding? Better to save the money for his retirement. Even among those who do get married, birth rates remain alarmingly low. Economic pressures, career insecurity, and gender inequality in child-rearing responsibilities have made many choose to stay child-free. China's National Bureau of Statistics reported in January 2025 that the country's birth rate in 2024 was 6.77 per 1,000 people, while the natural population growth rate was negative 0.99%, marking the third consecutive year of population decline. We both make over 20,000 yuan a month and graduated from top universities in Shanghai. Still, we don't want kids. The pressure is too much. We owe 13,000 yuan every month in mortgage payments, and we still have 28 years to go. Basic living costs already take up all our income. Adding a child? That would mean spending at least 30,000 yuan a month. If housing were more affordable, maybe we'd think differently. A 25-year-old blogger in Taiyuan, Shanxi Province, shared a similar story. She and her husband both earn decent salaries, but say they are not ready for a child, for three key reasons: high fixed expenses, including monthly mortgage payments of 3,000 to 4,000 yuan. Career risk. If she leaves work to have a child, she may not be able to return in today's tough job market. Child-rearing costs. From pregnancy to birth, the expense can exceed 20,000 yuan. Even deciding whether they can afford a postpartum care center is a dilemma. A recent viral video in China featured an AI model estimating the cost of raising a child through college. In major cities, 1.01 to 1.5 million yuan. In mid-sized cities, at least 800,000 yuan. Even in rural areas, over 300,000 yuan. Despite Beijing's urgent efforts, from cash handouts to propaganda campaigns, a generation is checking out. With no job security, no housing affordability, and no realistic path to a stable family, many young Chinese are choosing a different future. No marriage, no children, and no illusions. In a nation of over 1 billion, why does the next generation feel so alone? Once a bustling symbol of China's coastal economic rise, Xiamen is now a city in free fall. Amid the country's deepening economic crisis, the once thriving port city in Fujian province is facing massive population loss, business closures, and urban decay. Reports suggest that as many as 5 million people have already left, transforming parts of the city into ghost towns. A key driver behind the downturn? The withdrawal of Taiwanese investors, who once helped fuel Xiamen's growth, but are now pulling out en masse, citing poor returns and instability. No people, no traffic, just silence. The walls are covered in for rent signs. Shops are closed one after another, at least a third of them. It used to be packed with boutique hostels and street food stalls. At its peak in 2019, it saw nearly 120,000 visitors per day. Now, you can walk down the entire street without passing more than a handful of people. It's a Sunday night. This place should be alive. Just a few years ago, Zhengkuan was shoulder-to-shoulder crowds, stretching across several bustling streets. Now there's only one street left to explore, and even that feels abandoned. I don't understand. How did it fall this fast? This was once one of the most popular shopping centers in Xiamen. Right now it's Thursday evening, 6:45 p.m., what should be dinner rush hour. Back in 2017 and 2018, this place was like a temple fair, crowds everywhere. 3 shops in a row are now for lease. It's not just poor mall management, it's the collapse of foot traffic, the population decline that's killing local business. We heard online that most shops at Keitan Plaza had shut down, so we came to see for ourselves. It's worse than expected. More than 90% of the stores are closed. Just a year or two ago, this place was full of life. Now it's like a ghost mall. Keitan was once home to over 60,000 migrant workers, but after the area was demolished and redeveloped in 2021, people disappeared, and they haven't come back. While official data claims Xiamen's average monthly salary is 9,800 yuan, 1,350 US, locals say that's a myth for most workers. For young graduates and blue-collar workers, 4,000 to 5,000 yuan is the norm, if they're lucky. My younger brother just graduated. This year's job market is terrible. Most small and medium businesses are shutting down, and companies aren't even hiring interns. For Gen Z, the issue isn't quiet quitting. It's that they may never enter the workforce at all. You know what makes today's unemployment crisis worse than our parents' generation's layoffs in the 90s? Debt. Most of us today carry massive loans, mortgages, car loans, credit card debt, and we face a future with no jobs and no direction. Back then, our parents had no debt. If they were laid off, they could still get by doing odd jobs. Today, we're trapped, both financially and psychologically.